Hello and welcome to Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, also known as the Athens of the North. Although Scotland covers 1/3 of mainland Britain, it has a population of little more than 5 million. People usually think of Scotland as the land of castles and bagpipes, of kilts and whisky. But nowadays it's also a land of electronics and computer technology. Glenrothes, north of Edinburgh, is a new town where a number of high-tech companies have been set up since the 1980s. Many of them are financed by overseas investment or are subsidiaries of electronics firms from America and the Far East. Glenrothes is the heart of an area known as Silicon Glen. Glen is the Scots word for valley, and Silicon Glen is Scotland's answer to Silicon Valley in California. In this program, we're meeting John Houston, an electronics engineer working for the Japanese company Mitsubishi Electric PC Division. He's been with the company for 8 years.
Board starts soon and you'll be doing the update this afternoon. Okay? Okay, bye.
John is responsible for controlling and supervising the development of new personal computers at Mitsubishi's factory at Glenrothes. John lives in Clackmannan, a quiet little village in beautiful countryside about 40 kilometres from Edinburgh. I visited John and his wife Charlie at their home to find out about their lives. John, tell me a little about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm 33 years of age, married to my wife Charlotte Ann, also known as Charlie. We've been together for 9 years, although just married for 4. We moved to Clackmannan about 3 years ago.
Why do you live in Clackmannan and not in Glenrothes?
Well, actually, we used to live in Glenrothes, but Charlotte Ann got a job in Glasgow, which is actually about 2 hours drive. So we found that that was just too much. So we tried to look for somewhere which was closer and would give us a more equal journey. Clackmannan is actually halfway, and that gives us both a journey of about 45 minutes each morning, so it's a lot better.
Charlie, do you work in computers too?
No, I'm an orthoptist, which is a specialist in eyes and squints.
But I noticed that there's a computer here in the house. Are you computer literate?
Yes, I can use a computer if I have to.
What do you use it for?
Usually writing reports. If I'm doing some research and work, then I may use it, the database, or for word processing, doing graphs, that type of thing.
Like a lot of professional people, Charlie finds a computer useful for doing some of her work at home. From John, I wanted to know why he had chosen a career in electronics.
I think basically it was job security. I think when I was at school, unemployment in Britain was quite high at that time. I didn't want to do a degree in something which I would then have to go and search for a job. And electronics was certainly up and coming in Scotland then, so it was a good career move.
John works at the Mitsubishi Electric PC Division manufacturing plant in Glenrothes. The PC division makes personal computer systems and products for both home and business use. The so-called desktop PC is small enough for the keyboard and monitor, or screen, to fit conveniently on the desk or work surface. Nowadays there is often a separate tower, like this one, to house the components which drive and operate the computer and store information in it. The loudspeakers here are for use with computer programs which include sound. There are several components which aren't part of the computer itself, like the mouse, which moves on a pad to enable users to find their way around the screen and give instructions to the computer's programs. Or this handheld remote control, which performs more or less the same function as the mouse. The server here is a larger computer designed for organizations where several people need to share and use the same computer functions and the same information. It serves a network of terminals or workstations with their own keyboards and monitors. Where does John fit into all this? What does your job in the company involve?
Well, my title is Section Leader for New Products. I'm basically myself and the other new products engineers oversee the introduction of new designs from the Research and Development Centre in Birmingham into the manufacturing plant in Glenrothes. That basically means setting up cross-functional teams and monitoring and controlling projects and the project plans and the activities within the project plans.
New products are designed at Mitsubishi's R&D, its Research and Development Centre in Birmingham. The design for a new computer is known as the prototype. The prototype is sent to the manufacturing plant in Glenrothes, where the computer will be assembled. The large-scale manufacture of a new computer is planned, controlled and monitored by a cross-functional team of experts, working under a section leader for new products, such as John. The team includes a manufacturing engineer, a quality engineer, a test engineer and a purchasing representative, since many of the components are bought from other companies. They bring together the functions of their separate departments. The team ensures the efficiency, quality, reliability and cost-effectiveness of the manufacturing process and of the final product itself. At the heart of every computer is the motherboard. It houses the essential electronic components, including the processor, which gives the computer its power and operating speed. The components on the motherboard may vary according to the requirements of individual customers. They are bought in from all over the world by the purchasing department and assembled and mounted on the boards by means of surface mount technology known as SMT, the actual process of mounting the components on the boards.
This has been designed to meet the new PC97 spec. The main difference is
but before any product can be manufactured, the cross-functional team must work on its prototype, the first example of the new product design from the R&D Centre in Birmingham.
But fortunately enough, the connectors are all keyed, so the assembly time should be okay.
And were they keyed on rev?
Jim Hain, the manufacturing engineer on the team, is explaining the latest features of the prototype, which goes through several stages or revisions before the design meets the requirements of mass production.
This is an improvement from that time. They've also included a fan sink here, which is a cost reduction over the original build. We used to have a large fan in the front, so this has made the product cheaper.
And when we go to Rev C, we're going to change the front?
The team includes Jane Nightingale, a test engineer, and Paul Thompson, who is responsible for an activity called MPP, Manufacturing Process Proving.
Yeah, the previous build didn't have the shrouds round about the drives. What this does, it helps the quality by reducing the styling gaps around the drives.
I'd just like to go around and ask if
quality and testing are discussed by the whole team.
The MPP testing plan is complete.
Okay, good. Jane, diagnostics?
I'll be looking at test times later on this week and releasing some test data.
Motherboards for newly designed computers need to be tested both before and after assembly. If any new piece of electronic equipment has a defect, it is most likely to fail early on in its product lifetime, so it's essential to test for possible failure before full-scale manufacturing begins. Diagnostic tests have to be designed for each component of the product. They're the responsibility of Jane Nightingale. She's the only non-Scottish member of John's team and the only woman in it. Jane has to design tests at each revision stage of the prototype and also during the final run-up to production. This involves making sure that the tests will work with any of the different versions of a new PC. I watched Jane at work and then asked her how she had become a test engineer. Jane, what did you study at university?
I did a degree in information technology. It lasted for 4 years and included a 1-year industrial placement.
And what made you decide to become a test engineer?
It sounded like it may be fun, and there'd be lots of hardware involved and also lots of software and lots of challenges, and I thought it must be the thing for me, and so far it's okay.
Is it fun?
It is fun, yeah. Some people might not think so, but I do.
Is it still rare to find women in similar jobs?
I would say so. In the computing industry as a whole, it's not very rare, but when you get so close to the hardware as this job is, it does become very rare. Maybe about 1 in 20 engineers are female. But things are getting better. Maybe in 10 years' time, this department will be all women and there'll be just one man here. I don't know.
After the design of a new PC and its manufacturing processes have been tested and the necessary components have been bought in, large-scale assembly can begin. Here at Mitsubishi Electric PC Division, 1,000 computers are assembled every day. Speed of assembly is important in order to keep ahead of new products from rival manufacturers. And products incorporating the latest technology have to replace existing ones as rapidly and as efficiently as possible. Here a motherboard is being mounted on its chassis. The boards have standard designs, but the circuits and components may be different depending on what individual customers want. The boards can be replaced or taken out of chassis so that components can be changed or upgraded to improve performance. Other parts of the computer are fitted securely onto the chassis with screws. When all the parts of the computer have been assembled, the finished product is passed down the line. The computer is now ready to be packaged and dispatched to the customer. Jane Nightingale used the words hardware and software. Hardware refers to the parts or components of a computer or any electronic equipment. Software refers to the instructions which tell the computer what to do and how to do it. Computer software consists of programs which either enable the computer to operate or give the computer a particular job to do, such as word processing, or making and using databases of information, or using graphics, which means images of all kinds. Some programs include sound as well. Good programs should be user-friendly. The programs themselves should be straightforward and it should be easy to learn how to use them. Developments in both software and hardware occur rapidly and in many parts of the world. I talked about the future of the British computer industry to Bill Campbell, the General Manager of Mitsubishi Electric PC Division in Glenrothes. What part do you think will the British computer industry play in hard and software developments that are taking place in the United States and the Far East?
One of the things the British engineers have always been very proud of is their innovation, and the design of products and the manufacture of products have been made now for many years, both in Europe and around the world. Unfortunately, in the computer industry, companies like Intel and Microsoft have become so powerful that they are now dominating the marketplace and really dictating the way things go forward. And therefore I actually believe that the British computer industry will struggle to try and influence such big players as Intel and Microsoft.
How many jobs have been created in Scotland in the computer industry since the start of Silicon Glen?
Since the inception of Silicon Glen in Scotland, there's approximately 45,000 jobs, which has really been a large injection to the Scottish industry and to employment within Scotland.
And what are future job prospects in Silicon Glen?
Very powerful. If you look at the inward investment that we have coming into Scotland, it's still continuing at a very high rate. If you look at the infrastructure that we have in Scotland for distribution, both in Europe and around the world, it's strong. And if you look at the calibre of engineers coming from the universities, again, very high standard. So I think we're really in a very strong position to move forward.
And where is the money coming from that is being invested here at the moment?
A large amount of the money being invested at the moment is coming from the Far East. There's a lot of Far Eastern companies investing in Scotland to give them a foothold in Europe.
Looking ahead to, say, the year 2005, what changes do you expect to see in the use of computer technology?
I think what you'll see in the communications side is that it will be revolutionised. If you look at the internet, for example, the changes that has brought to business today, I think in the future that will make a lot of changes both at home and at work.
Now let's look at ways in which people actually use computers. We've already seen how John's wife Charlie uses a computer to work at home. What about John himself? Does he use a PC at home?
I do actually, yes. I have a PC in the study, and I'm currently doing an MBA degree.
What's an MBA?
It's a Masters of Business Administration. It's a degree. So that's sponsored by Mitsubishi, and I use the PC to do the work for that.
Has it changed your lifestyle in any way?
I think it has. I think it might change it more to come with the internet developments. But just now, I think I use it more as a typewriter than anything else.
John's MBA involves part-time study at home and visits to Wolverhampton University near Birmingham. So far, he's used his computer at home mostly for word processing. What about his colleague, Jane? Do you use the computer at home?
Yeah, a little bit too much. I play games and I go on the internet and I write emails to my family and my friends. Yeah, all day at work and then just a few hours every evening. But yeah, I do.
Jane, do you use the internet in your job?
Yes, I do. Almost every day. One of the main reasons for me using the internet is to record all the changes that I make to programs on the production line so that someone else can take over in my place.
I'd like to visit the Café Siberia in Edinburgh. I don't know anything about it. Could you access its website for me, please?
Yes, certainly. We'll see who's in the cafe.
The Siberia Cafe gives anyone the chance to use the internet for £6 per hour. It's especially good for people who don't have access to the internet through their own computers or who want to learn about the internet and how to use it, or just to relax and surf or wander around the internet looking for information and entertainment. There are cups of coffee and help is available.
Well, if I want to get out of this altogether and back to, just the way
Do you consider yourself to be computer literate?
Oh, I'm just a beginner.
Do you have a computer at home?
Yeah, I do, but it's still in the box. I haven't unpacked it yet.
What do you use computers for?
I use computers at home basically for word processing. I also teach in primary schools, so I use the computer in the classroom as a teaching tool. I teach 8-year-olds in primary school.
And are you teaching them to use a computer?
I do teach the children to use the computer, but often they teach me to use the computer. It's a two-way process. We actually work together on it. They're becoming more computer literate, so I really have to try to keep up with them.
In what way do you work with computers?
I work with computers as a kind of a programmer, working for an assurance company here in Edinburgh.
Why are you at the cafe today?
I'm presently at the cafe for emailing my friends and relatives who are put up in various parts of the world like India and the US and other European countries.
Do you consider yourself to be computer literate?
Yes, I do. I've done a degree in computing and now I'm working in the IT department at the Royal Bank of Scotland.
Do you have a computer at home too?
Yes, yeah, I've got a computer at home. I just use that for word processing and spreadsheets, not accessing the internet.
What are you doing at the cafe today?
I'm introducing my girlfriend to the internet who's not used it so much, so we're just going through the basics.
In only a few minutes I'd watched the internet being used in many different ways. But what exactly is the internet? The Internet, also called the World Wide Web, is a network of computers linked together so that they can communicate with each other anywhere in the world. If you have the right hardware and software, the Internet makes possible the exchange of words, pictures and sounds for a variety of purposes, such as to inform, to entertain, to teach and learn, to buy and sell. This is done in several ways, for example, by email, mail that is sent electronically, and by websites, pages with specific locations where information can be stored, accessed, and used. Information from the Internet can be downloaded, taken from the network, and filed for future use in your own computer. Now for a change of scene. This is the Royal and Ancient Golf Club at St Andrews, founded in 1754. It's the world headquarters of golf, where the rules of the game are decided. John is not a great golfer, but like many Scots he enjoys the game and often plays with his colleague Jim Hayne. He also enjoys mountain biking in the hills near Clackmannan. That's where we'll leave John and move on to Edinburgh, the capital city of Scotland. Although it was united with England in 1707, Scotland has always kept its own legal and educational systems. And in 1997, the majority of Scots voted for the establishment of an independent Scottish Parliament in Edinburgh. Edinburgh Castle stands on a hill overlooking the city. It has played an important part in the history of Scotland, and it's popular with tourists who come here to see the many reminders of the country's past, including the Great Hall, which is still used on ceremonial occasions. The magnificent location of the castle helps to give Edinburgh its title Athens of the North. though it must be admitted that not all the buildings could be called beautiful. The streets in the newer part of the city contrast with the lawn market, where wool and linen were sold in medieval times. Nowadays there are many shops selling the tartan cloth of the Scottish clans. This is part of the Royal Mile, a line of old streets running down from the castle. Further along the Royal Mile is St Giles Cathedral with its unusual tower in the shape of a crown. John Knox, the great religious reformer and founder of the Presbyterian Church in Scotland, preached here in the 16th century. Knox is said to have spent his last years in this house nearby. At the far end of the Royal Mile is the Palace of Holyrood House, the official residence when the royal family is in Edinburgh. An abbey was founded here in the 12th century, 300 years before Holyrood became the home of the kings and queens of Scotland. In 1745, Prince Charles Edward Stuart, known as Bonnie Prince Charlie, also lived here at the start of his rebellion against King George II, in which he claimed to be the true king of both England and Scotland. The giant railway bridge across the River Forth near Edinburgh was completed in 1890. It's considered to be one of the triumphs of Victorian engineering. I'll say goodbye to you from the Firth of Forth. In our next programme we'll be travelling to the north of Scotland to find out how the environment there is being protected. See you in the Highlands.